Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So, Cryptic Studios have finally listened to our complaints about how sad the new gear was going to be for Module 20. It was literally just going to be a copy and paste of the Lion Guard gear and the Blessed gear with all the exact same equip bonuses. Well, they've went ahead and changed them up a bit. And now a few pieces of the gear is actually going to be best in slot for DPS and tank characters. Along with that, they also went and changed up the set bonuses on the two new artifact sets that we'll be able to obtain. Also, I'd like to go and show you a sneak peek on some of the new fashion. There is also some new gear. So first things first, let's have a look at the new gear that we can obtain from the Vault of Stars dungeon. And does it actually make the dungeon worth running? Well, let's see. So here we have the Forest Guardian's gear. I've been running the dungeon a good few times now. I've got some of the reagents, and it's literally the exact same method as you would with the Infernal Citadel. Whenever you defeat a boss, they will drop these reagents, generally 2 of these 4, and those reagents then are used to purchase these gear items, and you will need 3 of them for most pieces of gear. However, you'll need 4 for the chest plates. The thing is with the new Vault of Stars dungeon is that you'll only get these reagents on the first boss and the second boss. It means you don't actually have to complete the full dungeon to obtain this Forest Guardian gear, as the last boss won't drop you any of these reagents. This is as far as I've seen. So what have they done to these set bonuses on the gear? Well, first up, they've changed the helmet. They've changed it so it now gives plus 5% damage in all of Sharandar. Much like the Undermountain one, it's just going to give that damage bonus in the new zone. Then we have our chest piece, and this chest piece gives us additional awareness rating for each player in our team, totaling up to a bonus of 7,500 extra awareness rating. And awareness rating is actually pretty challenging to get capped out without having to sacrifice hit points. Also, I'd like to mention the item level on these pieces of gear has got a huge buff. It used to be only 1,350, I believe, meaning it will overall give you more base damage and more base hit points. So that is another huge plus to this gear, making it even better. Then we go to the gauntlets. Unfortunately, these are still pretty much useless. They're only going to be good in an AoE environment somewhat, but even still, you're going to be better off running, let's say, the Lion Guard gear or the Blessed gear that would give you that extra power when you have those 20 stacks, as those stacks are generally pretty reliable, as you'll always have them up, giving you that additional power. Or you can run other things like the Star Rover gauntlets. Whenever you're moving, you gain a certain amount of extra damage. That's very good when you're running through a dungeon and just killing mobs. So unfortunately, these gauntlets are just not going to be great. Then we have the boots, and the boots are really good for a DPS and a tank if they want some more offense stats, giving that extra rating in combat advantage. That's 7,500, at least as long as your stamina is over 75%. This is again really good, as combat advantage damage is another huge buff to DPS when you're dealing your damage. Of course, you'll need to make sure you actually are flanking your enemy to gain any benefit from this. So this, again, this bonus to the rating will help DPS prioritize other things rather than having to stack runestones and enchantments that would give you this combat advantage. However, again, I would say you are still better off running with those rusted iron leggings, like I have actually slotted here on my DPS Paladin build, that give that 5% extra damage. However, they reduce your incoming healing, which will then penalize the healer, and sometimes you might die if you're just taxing your healer too much. So only really what comes to mind is the 2 best ones being the headpiece for DPS and the chest piece for tanks. Now we jump to the collections tab. In the collections tabs we can see all of this Forest Guardian gear, and then we move over to the next page, and here we have the new seals. We have the seals of the wilds, and with these seals you'll be able to again earn them on your first daily random queue, your trial one, you'll be able to get 20, and your epic dungeon, you'll be able to get 40. But with those seals, you'll be able to purchase this gear, and this gear is literally just a copy and paste of the Infernal Forge gear we got with those seals in the previous module, module 19. These shirt and pants, if you don't have the actual hunt gear, like I have one of the pieces there, these would be the next best, being 100 item level higher than the Infernal Forged ones, which are 1200 item level. These ones are now 1300 item level. So now we move to the new artifact sets that we'll be able to obtain with the new module. Looking over in our artifact equipment on our collections tab, you can see we'll be able to obtain these new sets. First up, we have like the Fey Star set, and this set has actually been changed. Its tooltip still remains the same, however, and it's much like the Demon Lord set, where you will gain up to 10% more damage and outgoing healing depending on the difference between your hit points and your target's hit points. So generally, if you're fighting a boss, for most of the fight you will gain this 10% bonus, as the difference between your hit points and the boss's hit points will be at least 90% difference, so you would gain that 10% bonus. However, when the boss has much lower hit points, then you wouldn't really gain this full bonus anymore. Or if you're fighting enemies who have similar hit point values to you, you'll also gain next to nothing from this new set. And this new set comes from the new dungeon, the Vault of Stars. And this set can be potentially the best for healing and DPS, as it has pretty high item level like all the other standard sets, and gives a 10% bonus to damage and healing. Many other sets only give a 5% bonus to damage and heals, and thus this making this set have the potential to be a good bit better. Then we move to the Diamond set, and this set is the best for tanks. Basically, when you stand still, you're going to decrease the damage you take by 5%, and you're also going to increase your awareness by another 5%, totaling up to, depending on what your awareness is, but let's say you have 85% awareness. This would bring you then to the cap, and you would gain at least 9% damage resistance just from having this set fully procced up. On top of this, you will gain additional threat by 10%, meaning you multiply your effective damage by 10%, meaning the boss thinks you deal more damage, meaning it'll be much easier to hold the aggro. Now with these sets, of course, comes their corresponding artifacts. These two new ones, you have the Sparkling Fey emblem. Now this in fact has an error in its tooltip, and it's supposed to have double basically the effectiveness as it says there. Basically, allies should gain 5% extra defense and 5% extra critical avoidance, and foes will take 5% more damage. And this is actually not great. There are a lot of other artifacts that are going to give more than 5% extra damage, like your Wyvern Knives, which is there 12%. However, this has a duration of 15 seconds outside of the norm of 10 seconds. Then we have the Diamond Pin, and this Diamond Pin then has the ability to increase allies' combat advantage, which is really good, and along with that decrease the damage enemies deal by 5% for 15 seconds. All things considered, it's not bad, but 5% damage resistance is pretty meh in my opinion. There are other artifacts that are going to do a whole lot better than this. Now, where can you actually obtain the tank set? Well, this is going to be obtainable through farming out these shattered diamond shards, and you'll need 99 of them, as it says there, to open a diamond shard, and within it you can obtain, yes, this diamond set, and you can also obtain various other rewards. I still have to actually get my first 100. I'm there on 66, and it's a pretty painful grind. But that aside, let's move on. So now we have, interestingly, some new gear, the Crone's gear. It appears that this gear will be able to be purchased with the Seals of the Fallen. And interestingly enough, this gear only has 1225 item level. However, the equip bonuses on these is pretty abysmal. The headpiece there only giving you power whenever you kill an enemy. The boots just giving you power when you start combat for 10 seconds. the chest piece just giving you a chance whenever you deflect attack to gain some of your hit points, and then the gauntlets there only giving you power for the lower amount of health you have. We have the accessories, nothing new here, just these green shirt and pants, nothing really interesting. They don't have an equip bonus, so they're not going to be really anything desired. Then we have companion gear, just some blue gear. Again, it doesn't have 2 slots for rune stones, so it's not that great. And then we go to fashion, and here's what I was talking about. We have some new stuff. First up, we just have an ordinary cloak, this silver wing cape, and it just looks like this here. However, next up we have the cape of the knight, and this is really cool. Much like the redeemed citadel cape, this one will actually change your overall cosmetic appearance. You can see that yes, it's doing something very different to the actual look of my character. And if this stays the same like this could be really cool. There's a bit of clipping with the cape in the back there that needs some fixing with the armor, but that aside, the effect it gives is really awesome in my opinion. Then we move on to, much like we had the angel wings in the redeemed citadel, we have these crystal fairy wings, and they'll give a glowing aura like this. Really cool in my opinion. I love those kind of shades of blues and purples, and overall it's definitely something I'll be trying to obtain. And then we have a crown, a crystal crown. In my opinion, it looks a bit chunky. It could look a whole lot more elegant, and then I might use it. But as it currently stands, I don't think it's really going to fit well with my character. And that's pretty much it for everything new in terms of what has been introduced onto the preview server as sneak peeks, etc. for the new module. And I believe this fashion will only be coming down the line much later. If we look in our campaign tab here, you can see I've actually completed the first milestone of the Sharandar campaign. And there's nothing really special here. We just have our first zone, the ruins of Malaborg, and then you'll have this lair where you have to fight the crone herself, the neck snapper, and then you just get her down to like 30% hit points, and then she flees and she has other things to do. There's probably going to continue on with the story on that, and so on. And with finally completing this milestone all the way, I finally get my second boon point there, and there should be, I believe, 5 boon points available from this total campaign. And with completing the first part, we don't actually unlock the other parts. It seems they are time gated, so they will come out when they come out, when Cryptic Studios decide it's time that they will release them. But I believe it's probably going to be about 4 weeks between each one, giving you a reasonable amount of time to complete the first one. So that aside, that's going to be everything for this video. Hopefully I've presented this well. If I did, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.